Frankenfood. In the late 21st century, the first great famines struck in earnest. These weren't like the mass starvations of centuries past, when bad weather and spiralling prices saw the poorest people in the poorest countries left with empty bellies. These were plagues of hunger that spread across the globe. Even in the developed nations, foods which had once been standard fare became luxuries. Middle-class families sat down to Spartan dinners of soybeans and insect meal, while the elite exhibited their wealth with decadent feasts of mechanically recovered meat. A perfect storm of overfishing, a changing climate, and antibiotic resistance saw our food supplies dwindle as our population swelled and demand exceeded the capacity of our world to supply. But our salvation was at hand. Even as the natural world collapsed, scientific progress surged onward. Genetic engineering allowed us to shape and manipulate life at the most basic level. In vast tanks, bacteria, sculpted by our most brilliant minds, feasted on sunlight and simple organic compounds, and produced a cornucopia. Beef, chicken, pork, lamb, seafood of every kind, exotic and luxuriant fruits. The flesh of all were produced in abundance by single-celled organisms set to a singular purpose. The brief economic upheaval that accompanied the obsolescence of farming was a small price to pay for well-stocked larders. As the technology became ever more sophisticated, the biomeat producers expanded their range to include more exotic delicacies. Adventurous consumers dined on the artificially generated flesh of long-extinct species. We had conquered a foe that had plagued our kind since our inception. Humanity had defeated hunger. We had achieved our independence from the cycles and limitations of the natural world. Today, we number over 60 billion. By our best estimates, we are one of a few dozen species left on the planet. Most of the few non-human life forms that remain dwell in the depths of the ocean, strange creatures that cluster around geothermal vents, where the Earth's crust is fractured. Those lands which haven't been put to good use as part of the vast urban sprawl or the towering food production complexes are empty deserts, territories which have had their valuable water long since diverted away, set to better purpose, sustaining our expansion. Plants have all but disappeared, rendered superfluous now that oxygen is instead supplied by factories, separating seawater into fuel for our technology and air for us to breathe. Our liberation from nature included an end to our reliance on the oceans, and they have since been repurposed to provide an ideal repository for the byproducts of industry. For those few who maintain an eccentric curiosity for the old, obsolete world, arboretums offer a window to the past. Forests rendered in plastic and metal, with artificial scents permeating the air, and the cries of extinct creatures projected over skillfully concealed speakers. Among all life, the battle for survival is over, and we have won.